Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the George Mokoena Show live show. I, of course, is George Mokoena, and this is a show where we can speak a little bit about what we've seen in the media, what I've seen in the media, and I can give you my opinions on some of these stories that have caught my eye. If you want some more of this, please subscribe, because not only do I have this show, I have another show, the Overthinking Football Show, which is later on, which is the show where we speak. We come together and we discuss a topic that I've chosen, and I get to hear directly from you guys how you feel about what we're speaking about, as well as watch-alongs. It is the Euros, so we are watching the Euros, keeping a close eye on the Euros as the one major tournament that is on right now with Copa America. So join me for that. 2 schedules are published as the week goes along, and you guys will know where to find me. Okay, guys, let's jump straight into the show. Okay, so Chiefs fans have been happy, eh? Chiefs fans have been really happy over the past few weeks. There's been news that Nasreddine Nabi is finishing up with AS FAR. They're playing the Kings Cup that side in Morocco, and he's going to be joining Kaizer Chiefs. And there were rumors that technical staff are being changed, and we're doing all of these things in order to accommodate him when he gets to the country. So people were rightfully very happy to see that the Nabi news is coming through. Then, of course, after that, this weekend, we found out that actually Fernando de Cruz, who happens to be one of his assistants, has landed in the country and is meant to come in, assess some players, start putting plans into motion so that when the coach lands, everything is great. This was all facilitated through a video where we saw Kaizer Chiefs Jr. go and pick up Mr. de Cruz from the airport, you know, in a hidden camera, not so hidden camera type situation that was captured by IFA Post. And apparently last night, the goalkeeper coach that Nasreddine Nabi is bringing in has also arrived in the country. So this basically means that Nabi is going to be the new head coach. Everybody's excited. He played, his team played yesterday in the Kings Cup, won their semi-final 2-0. And it almost felt like the Amakosi faithful were becoming AS FAR faithful. It felt like it was our win as well, as I've seen people in social media speak about. So we've spoken about Nabi, we've spoken about the prospects. I've spoken about some of the things that I'm waiting to hear about, and I will be honest, it's very good to hear that there's technical team changes that are happening, as we had kept a lot of the old people from before. Still would love some management changes, some middle management changes at the very least, maybe a new TD, as Kevin Johnson, apparently he is unsure of his role as head of scouting, as head of development. So we're yet to see. Rumor has it that this Fernando de Cruz is going to come in and also might take over that role, as he's got TD experience, which is a whole different conversation that we're probably going to have on another day. What I wanted to speak about today is our expectations for Nasreddine Nabi. What I'm seeing in a lot of social media and a lot of conversations I've had and conversations I've seen is that Chiefs fans are treating this Nabi appointment as if he's the second coming. They're treating this Nabi appointment as if, you know, just by virtue of him being fired, all of our problems are solved. We're going to go and win a treble next year. We're going to go do all of these big things. We're already chirping other teams. We're pointing to his previous work experience with, you know, what he did in Tanzania before coming, what he's done in the Champions League, what he's done in Morocco right now. I see a lot of people speaking. We're speaking, hey, we're going in, we're very happy. And I want to offer up a different point of view. And my point of view comes from watching Kaizer Chiefs over the years. Now, it's not a negative point of view. So I'm not going to be coming at this and saying, we should expect zero, nothing's going to happen, Kaizer Chiefs is still broken, all of that stuff. I don't want to come at it from that point of view. I just want us to speak realistically about what we expect from Nabi and how to make sure that our expectations don't go overboard. Right now, the way we are speaking is that we want him to come in, clean sweep, bring in players, do this, do that, win us trophies. And I think, you know, when you overhype something, sometimes even when that thing is doing well or relatively well, Because you are so happy and so hyped, in comparison to that hype, it looks like they're not doing much. When we look at Coach Arthur Zwane finishing 5th, for example, Coach Arthur had a relatively okay season in comparison to seasons that have passed in the 9 years of our trophyless run. But because our expectations of Umangete were so high, when he came 5th, and honestly, throughout, it was the last few games of the season, but when he came 5th, we couldn't reconcile that gap. And it looked worse than it was. I remember the complaints about Gavin, for example, Gavin Hunt, who had taken us to our first semi-final in CAF Champions League. In CAF Champions League history, it was the first time Chiefs had gone that far. But for some reason, in the league, because we were struggling a little bit in a transfer year, we couldn't reconcile the good work that he's done and this high expectation that we have. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know anything about Nebi. I don't know anything about how he plays, how he sets up his teams, how he comes up and approaches matches. I have none. No, I haven't even wanted to look, just to be fair to him. So I don't want to come into this season expecting him to go and win a treble. Expecting him to go and change everything and just all of a sudden hit the ground running and start moving. I want to take the view that I am cautious in that I don't want to overhype and get excited, but I'm not going to go negative. I want to be fair to Coach Nebi when he gets here and say, you know what? Let's see the first 10 games. Let's see how that goes. I'm not going to sit here and call for Champions Leagues and all of that stuff. Let's see how the first 10 games go, and let's take it from there. Let's see how your plan looks. Let's see how your transfers look. Let's see how your technical team works with the team. Because the other realistic thing that I'm coming to grips with as a Kaizer Chiefs fan myself is that, you know, we've had great appointments before. I mentioned Gavin. You saw what happened with Middendorp. We've had some great coaches that maybe could have been given more time, that maybe could have been done right by. But the truth of the matter is that the big question is going to be whether Nebi is going to be supported, whether Nebi is going to get the resources he needs, whether Nebi is going to get the control. Coach Nebi is going to get the control that is required for you to be able to turn around a club of Chiefs this size. I've said before that a lot of the people that worked there before are still working there now. And I hope that those guys will have turned over a new leaf. I hope that we're not going to see the same type of things that happened with Coach Gavin Hunt, where even prior to him getting fired, even prior to him getting to the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League, there were clashes internally about who to sign, who to let go, what type of controls the coach is going to have. So I hope that those people have turned a blind eye. I also hope, a new leaf, sorry, they've turned over a new leaf. I also hope that not only are we going to hear about technical team hires, Nabi, his assistants, his goalkeeper coach, I believe he might be coming with a physical trainer, things like that. That's great. That's pitch side. But I'm also hoping for some other hires behind closed doors in the offices of Naturena. I'm hoping for a long-term technical director. I'm hoping for somebody who's going to step in and provide the vision for the team and go about the operations, the everyday operations of putting together a strong back-end team. I'm hoping that the head of academy, should they get rid of Kevin Johnson, be somebody who's not necessarily linked to Nabi, but maybe they play the same type of football. I'm hoping that the club has done the hard work of looking at themselves and saying, you know what? We're bringing in Coach Nazruddin Nabi, not just because he's a coach that's available, but because we've done the research, we've looked at how he plays, and we're going to model our team around that style of play. So that from development all the way through to the club, down to transfers, who you go and buy, there's an identity and there is a roadmap. I'm hoping to see that type of work have been done in Kaizer Chiefs so that we can set ourselves up for the future. I'm hoping that Coach Nazruddin Nebi getting signed is not a face signing, is not somebody who's going to come in and be not necessarily the scapegoat, but is going to be the person that we move aside when things go wrong. So, like I said, I don't want to be negative. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, the history of the club has been this, and they're going to do this, and they're going to mess up here, and they're going to do whatever, and be negative. We've done that. I've done that. What I'm going to say is, Coach Nebi, you are welcomed. Coach Nebi, you're going to get your chance. At least from me. I'm not going to be out here speaking loudly, doing all types of things until we've assessed. If there isn't a sign of growth, if there isn't a sign of change, I'll probably be back here talking very loudly. Not going to lie. But if we see all of those things, then we'll get behind. Or if we don't, we'll talk. But what I will not do is sit here and say the glory days are back. Off rip. Sit here and say that everything has changed. Support ASFAR, for example. I'm not going to sit here and do those things. But for me, Coach Nebi is going to get a very fair chance. And word to the wise, Coach Nebi, if you want some advice from somebody who's been a Kaizer Chiefs fan for a very long time, win over the fans. A lot of what coaches do is focus on the back end. Oh, there's so many great people behind there. Oh, you know, the team is such a great brand, and, you know, Dr. Motaung is doing this, and, you know, Bobby, Gemiso, Jessica, Kaizer. And you neglect that the most powerful people at this club, Coach Nebi, the most powerful people are the fans. The office is not going to stand by you if the fans start talking. The office is not going to stand by you and protect you. They're not going to put their necks on the line to try protect you if fans are going off and fans are doing whatever. Create a relationship with the fans. Understand what is needed. Understand what we want. Understand how we talk. Understand how we are. Because this team has a very large following. And that following can switch like this. So I'm hoping that Coach Nebi has that in the bag. And I'm also hoping, honestly, that Coach Nebi also has ironed out any problems. We know that he was in a negotiation with Kaizer Chiefs for a long time before choosing to go to Morocco after he'd left Tanzania. We know that talks fell through because of a lot of reasons that are being reported in the media. So I'm hoping that he's gotten through and ironed out those issues, and I hope that his contract is ironclad. And lastly, I hope that he's got the control that he would need in order to mold this team. Rather die on your own sword, knowing that you made your own decisions and brought in your own players and played the way that you wanted to, than to be pulled around like some of the coaches that we've had, our most recent coaches. They were pulled around and didn't make their own decisions and didn't make their own changes and didn't run teams the way that they wanted to because they wanted to appease the office. You'll be left high to dry, and it will be just you who's sitting there. Anyway, on to the next topic. The next thing I want to speak about, so obviously, it's no rumor anymore that Morocco Swallows is for sale. That David Mkhashwa and Panyaza Lissufi are trying very hard to find a buyer for Morocco Swallows, whether it's going to be the team or the status. They're hinting towards it being the status more than is the team. They're probably going to go and look for another status, maybe swap places with whichever club is going to want to buy them. The rumors have it that Marumo Gallant's owner, Abram Sillo, is leading the offers, and he's leading the race to become the new owner or to get that status. So we're more than likely going to see Marumo Gallant's back in. Former TTM owner, forget his name, Mulaudzi, also wants in, but Abraham Sello is the one who's leading. Now, there's been tons of speculation. We saw what happened to Morocco Swallows last year. They ran into a lot of problems. They couldn't get sponsors because the sponsors were asking for things that the league cannot give them, owing to the other sponsorship deals that the league has with other stakeholders. For example, there was a rumor that Telkom wanted to buy into Morocco Swallows, or at least sponsor Morocco Swallows, but the problem became that they wanted on their streaming service to show matches that weren't being shown on SuperSport. Now, SuperSport, for one, shows all matches according to them. They show all, I forgot how many it is, but it's quite a few matches. They were able to show them. Those that can't be shown on TV are then taken to DStv Stream. And because they're a headline sponsor, broadcasting partner with the PSL, you cannot have that deal with Telkom go through. Similarly, there was a rumor that Gold Rush, the betting company, had also come in and asked for information. So part of the deal that they were going to have with Morocco Swallows was going to be more in-depth information in terms of statistics, in terms of all of these different type of things, which at the moment, the PSL doesn't have a betting sponsor, but they can't allow another sponsor who's not directly sponsoring the league to have access to those that information, because of course you know how it plays out. It's very important for odds. It's very important for those type of things. So it would have been against PSL policy, and it makes sense why those sponsors were not there. Morocco Swallows also signed a deal with Drip Sportif, Lekau Suhana's company, in order for them to be the technical sponsor in terms of kits. I don't know if that deal would have been financially viable. I think it's more of a give and a take. You're trying to support a new business coming up, so I doubt you're getting the type of monies that are Chiefs, that are Pirates, that are Sundowns, or any of the other teams that have steady sponsors would be getting. So no money's coming in from that side. They decided then to start revamping the team, bringing in new players, trying to build and make a strong team and do all of those fancy things throughout the season. They also announced Coach Steve Komphela, who came in from Mamelodi Sundowns, and I don't believe he is cheap. Right? And some of us questioned very early whether Morocco Swallows would be able to carry this burden. It ended up playing out that later on, when they got into, halfway through the season, in the December period, they couldn't pay players' salaries. They had to let go of a lot of players. They had to sign a lot of players on cut price. Coach Steve Komphela also left Morocco Swallows, and went to go join Golden Arrows. That is where he is right now. So they had a lot of problems, and now we see that they had to sell the club. That was just giving you background of what has happened with Morocco Swallows up to this point. And Panyaza Lisufi came on to Andile's show last week, Sports Nights with Andile, if I'm not mistaken. That's the show's name. He came on and he spoke about what happened, and he was honest about a few things. Now, he said a lot of things. He spoke about how fans not coming to the stadium is an issue. He spoke about how there was an average attendance of 57 or 71. He spoke about how people renting out the stadium and doing all of that stuff costs money, and kind of alluded to putting it on the fans' doorstep, that you guys didn't support us enough for us to be able to do what we needed to do in the back. Andile also then came out to speak about how fans, if you don't buy the jerseys and if you don't support the club and you don't go to the stadiums and all of that stuff, you are not real supporters, and that is a conversation for another day. What I want to focus on in this conversation right now, I'm tired of teams laying so many things at the fans' doorstep. I'm tired of teams acting like we request all of these things, they oblige our requests, and then later on, when things don't work out, they can turn around and point at us. I've spoken plenty of time here about these teams who hide behind the fans. It's very easy for somebody to say, I did what you wanted me to do, therefore I am absolved of any responsibility in this situation. They speak as though they've got fan forums where they sit down with the fans, and they've got AGMs, and the fans have a stake in the team and can dictate what needs to happen. This is not Bayern Munich. This is not other fan-owned clubs. This is Swallows, Morocco Swallows, that is owned by David Mkhasho, Panyaza Sufi, and a bunch of other shareholders, which I will get into because there was a bit of an issue there. When I support my team, it doesn't mean I sit in the boardroom. When I support my team, it doesn't mean I make decisions for you. When I support my team, when I watch my team, I'm a fan. I don't know that the Morocco Swallows fans that watched the club this season knew that they couldn't pay salaries. Panyaza Sufi put it that they're seeing that the financial burden is so high that it's either they sell the status or they get booted out by FIFA and SAFA and PSL regulations that say if you can't pay for something, you have to be taken down. How many fans were consulted when that started happening for you to then blame them? How many fans were consulted when budgets are being made and you decide that I'm going to go over and above what we can afford and what we can do to buy face? How many fans are consulted when you go out to go look for sponsors and go and do all of those things? How many fans are asked where this PSL grant of 2 million a month that is funded by fans watching the TV, that is funded by people paying for about dstv to watch EPSL. How many of them were consulted as to where that money is going to go? When you were sitting at cozy dinners with Coach Steve Kompela announcing that he was hired, how many fans negotiated that deal? His monthly pay, his mandate, what he's going to do here. So why, at the end of everything, when things have gone wrong, do we turn around and look at the fans? And honestly, they're not the only club to have done this. We've heard other clubs blaming social media, blaming betting, all of that stuff, and saying fans are not fans anymore. Guys, realistically, we sit in a league where Mamelodi Sundowns won the league by, 20, 22, 23 points. Where Orlando Pirates won 2 trophies and luckily Stellenbosch could win the other one. Pirates, again, completing 4 trophies in 2 years. MTN 8 Nedbank Cup twice. So that means 3 of the 4 available trophies are accounted for. That means that there's very few teams in the league that can look you in the eye and say that they're doing everything. Panyaza, in the quotes, went as far as to say that you can't be finger pointing and you can't say David Mkhashwa didn't try to make this club run. That he didn't go out and try seek sponsors and the league did this, that he didn't try and do whatever. They spoke a big game. And when it came time to put your money where your mouth is, when it came time to make sure that you are sustainable, you didn't. And to go back to the conversation we were having about the shareholders, one of the Swallows shareholders actually came onto the show, onto Adile's show, and spoke about how they had not been consulted about where the move is going. So way back in 2017, when they were raising funds, there are fans who went into their pocket, deep into their pockets, into their savings, the gentleman who was on there, put forward money. But yet now when things are going wrong, the exco cannot communicate with shareholders, cannot tell them that, guys, kunzima. By my count, the league has been done for what, maybe a month now? Coming up to a month? So you are telling me that from the moment there were problems to the end of the season to now post-season, You had not even spoken to your shareholders. That feels like maladministration to me. That feels like you have failed in a corporate governance sense to communicate with the people that you are meant to communicate to, that funded, that provided monies for you to be able to have this team where it is, all the way back in 2017. You don't communicate to them. You can't pay players. You can't pay your coach, or you can't even allow your coach to run the team. You still have, according to Panyaza, they tried to clean up as much as possible of what the old club had, but you still find those elements. So you failed in that regard too. And honestly, to Ntate Panyaza, honestly, it's not the first year you guys are running this club. It's not the first year the club has been in the PSL. From when you guys resurrected it, I believe, in the 3rd division and brought it all the way up, you can't now act as though all of these things are new. You can't act as though, we were blindsided by the finances that were happening. You can't act as though low stadium attendance is the problem. That no, guys, the 71 fans, if only we had 3,000 average fans, we could have done something different. You can't act like you haven't seen other teams go through the same exact things that you went through. Surely you saw Bloemfontein Celtic, what happened to them. Surely you saw about TTM. We've seen Galans, we've seen there's so many teams, Bidvest, we've seen so many teams struggle. So you can't come to me and say, oh yeah, by the way, we were struggling with these things, when it's your own choices as the exco and as the leadership of Morocco Swallows that landed you here. But yet, what do? You put it on the doorstep of the fans. You point at every single person other than looking internally. In fact, it seems like you don't even want to look internally and blame the people who are there internally and have to look at these things. There's not social media. It's not angry fans. It's not lack of fans. It's your maladministration. It's you guys not being able to run that club properly. And this again cycles back to the PSL one more time. Over there at the PSL offices, how many years are we going to have to see this happening? How many years are we going to have to see another club after another club after another club after another club after another club die? Not being able to pay, not being able to do whatever, while we allow owners to come in and out. How many transfer bans are we going to see? Because you know what, guys, the contracts are not strong enough to stand up when the foreign players take us to FIFA. How many issues are going to persist in this league before you step in and make sure that the owners can run the clubs? And make sure that the running of the clubs has a standard, has requirements. Because what we're watching here, guys, they had to forfeit 2 games in December. I believe it was Golden Arrows and Mamelodi Sundowns. They had to forfeit 2 games over payment issues. Then they came out and gave us a story. Now they're selling the club. Same Shandis, but TTM. So at what point, PSL as a whole, do you start taking this ownership thing seriously? At what point do you start taking the growth of teams seriously? That we need to find people or set standards and requirements that make it clear that not only will you be expected to maintain what the club is doing, You have to go further. That it falls on you to go and get fans. That it falls on you to do outreaches. It falls on you to go and create those relationships. What is the Morocco Swallows fan membership like? Maybe there's people who support Swallows. What is the membership like? What are the benefits? Do they listen to fans? Do you talk to your fans? Do you outreach to your fans? If you're going to complain about 71 people in the stadium, what forces me? What makes me get up out of bed to go and watch your team? To feel closer to that team. They did all the nice stuff. Yeah, it was Swallows FC for a very long time because they wanted to separate their identity. Chigi Chigi, now it's Morocco Swallows again. Just last year. Now it's gone. Do your jobs, guys. Do your jobs. And if there's people that are not working within your clubs, move them. And if your budget doesn't allow you to be a star in the league, okay, go for your top 8 with what you haven't built from there. But don't come and blame fans and try and make it seem as though we are the ones, we are the ones that are doing this and that and that. I really did not like that. Especially when you're saying, I don't want to point any fingers at anybody. Our clubs need to be run better. Our clubs need to do more. Frankly. More than they're doing. Do you know why you're struggling to get sponsorships? What would a sponsor most of our teams for? You can't give me a captive audience. So you can't even guarantee me that in Dobsonville, if I come in, I'm going to get a return. You can't give me quality players where you can say, okay, you know what, at least I can put my name behind this person and I know they're going to perform throughout the season. Can't even give me they can't even give me a stadium that's full. So I'm sorry, David Mkhashwa, you can't get sponsors. What are they going to sponsor? Fans won't come to the stadium. What am I coming to watch? If we're being honest. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. I think I'm growing tired of this narrative that the fans are the problem. I'm getting tired of the narrative that players are an issue. I'm getting tired of the narrative that the coaches want to do better, the owners want to do better for us as fans. But when you look at it, what are you getting in return? When you look at it, what are they doing? What decisions are they making? But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. I just wanted to touch very shortly on the Euros. Guys, we have the Euros. The Euros are on. And I just wanted to say that, honestly, AFCON is better. But to deep it, all of these big names that we've been looking up to and we've been expecting. We've been expecting Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane. We've been expecting Cristiano. We've been expecting Mbappe's and all those people. We've been expecting, man. I get they keep telling us that we need to see quality football from Europe. That's where the quality football is. Yeah? That's where you go if you want to get better and develop. But to be honest with you, the pattern that I've seen so far in this tournament is that the small teams play football. The big teams, I want to say a word, but I don't want to swear. The big teams get their lucky wins and move on and score their goals. So all in all for me, this Euro in the group stages has been so disappointing. It's been so disappointing. The games have been boring. The play has been boring. The big players haven't haven't come to the fore. And I'm hoping to see them come to the fore later on. But guys, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this Euros competition. And I don't know how I feel about the standard. I'm starting to feel as though marketing is helping so much this side. Boy, AFCON was so better. I'm still hoping that France and Germany can make it to the final. I want to see that final. I'm hoping that the other guys will wake up, your Englands and those type of teams. I want to see if they can wake up and actually give us a game and actually play. But I just very shortly, I know it's very short, I wanted to just say AFCON was much better. AFCON was much better. And we need to start looking at our own product and saying, you know what, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's start hyping this thing. Let's start jumping on the bandwagon. Let's start showing Europe that, guys, you're not all that. And like when you put you under the microscope, it's not all there. That is literally all I wanted to say for this one in passing with the review of these Euros. I will still be live. We'll do watch-alongs for France, Germany, England, and Portugal. Those are the teams we're going to be watching, but we're going to be watching a lot more games in the round of 16 and in the knockouts. But literally, that's all I just wanted to pass by and say Africa has been better here. Africa has been better because of this. And also we're starting to see that maybe this tactical now superiority that we talk about with Europe is not actually there. It's not actually there. The coaches are inflexible, most of them. The coaches try shoo in as many players as they can who have big names. You know, I'm starting to look at our coaches, even Hugo Bruce. I'm starting to have some respect for him and say, you know what, Matala, you stuck to your guns, you played your football, no matter what we've been saying about you, and you found your way. But Southgate, what did it, Shams? It's very disappointing. Anyway, last topic for today. I want to read something that Bernard Parker spoke about, and I want to have a conversation about that. Bernard Parker, right? I'll read the article. TS Galaxy star Bernard Parker has made a somber revelation about how cyberbullying has affected players, imploring key stakeholders to help footballers combat it. Parker is one of the prominent, we'll skip that one. It's a real killer in the industry because anyone in the world can send a direct message to me. And if it's a bad message, it doesn't go away. It stays on the back of your mind while you go on the field of play, said Parker. This can affect the task at hand. It's really important that we have more projects and more people discussing social media and cyberbullying. We tend to become big-headed and then chase fame and lose focus on the job at hand, then also get lost in the system. It's important to keep the mentality at its best. So what Bernard Parker is speaking about here is not something new to sports. A lot of sportsmen and women have come out and said that the pressures, the messages you get, all of those things tend to play on their minds, and they would love a place where it's a little bit easier to go about what they do, where fans are not as hard. I want to come at this from two perspectives. There's two perspectives. I'm going to start with the perspective from the outside looking in. From the outside looking in, these players live extraordinary lives. These players get extraordinary opportunities to play the sport that they want outside, in front of everybody, and get handsomely compensated for it. They get all types of opportunities and all of that, right? But part of me says, isn't this part of the job? And it's not to say it's not right or that it's right. That's not wrong. But I want to come and say, isn't this part of the job? If you open yourself up to so many people playing this game that you love, 10% will be trolls. 10% or even more at times, but there will be at least 10% of people who come out and be unnecessarily negative. But isn't that part of the platform that you play for? if I play for Kaizer Chiefs, and Kaizer Chiefs has a reported 16 million fan base. So if I play for Kaizer Chiefs and I'm on the back pages and I'm all over the place, and part of that heaviness of the jersey, the fame of the team, part of the number of supporters is what allows me to get the salaries that I can get, to play the footballs that I can play, to get the facilities, to get exposed to different things in the world. If that 16 million fans is part of what is allowing me to live my life right now, because without them, it would be a great league, but commercially it wouldn't be there. And I'm reaping the rewards of being in the league. Surely you have to understand that there are some people that are going to come in and try gera you. They're going to come in and say some really disrespectful, ugly things, sometimes threatening things to you as the guy that I see on TV every day. And isn't it then up to you, and thank you to Bernard Parker for saying other stakeholders, but isn't it up to you and the other stakeholders to make sure that you try and minimize as much of the damage that can be done on the socials and everywhere? Try limit it as much as you possibly can. It's not going to stop everything. This is why when teams take over accounts, when managers run accounts instead of players, when you're not out there to see that thing, those are steps. But to be fair, I can't control everything you do in your whole life. I can't make it that that thing is going to go away. I can't make it that when you're trending and there's hundreds of thousands of tweets about you because, I don't know, you missed a penalty, that you're not going to see it. But I implore players to really understand that, guys, this is unfortunately the life that you have to live. The same people that are clapping, you've got tons of people clapping for you. You've got tons of people who support you. You've got tons of everything. Yes, at the end of the day, there are going to be those negative people and negative aspects of that life. But isn't it part of what you have to give up in order to go live that? Like if I'm the most famous person in the world, I give up having the luxury of going outside. So isn't there a give and take, especially for the extraordinary level of life that you guys are exposed to? The things you can do, the things you can provide for your families, the things you can build, the people are calling you. Like right now, this whole talk was because Bernard Parker has become an ambassador for one of the mental health clinics. I'll get the name. Clinics Health Group. So he's been enlisted to champion their latest initiative against substance addiction. Do you know why they called you Bernard Parker? Do you know why they called you and they said, come be part of this campaign? It's because you're Bernard Parker. It's because when your name goes there and you're a former Chiefs player, there's all of these people that have been watching you. There's all of these people that have followed you. They understand that if you can convert some of those people, it means a very big deal for whatever campaign we're running, whatever brand it is we're doing, So again, it's two sides of the same coin that maybe you have to accept as a star player. Now, I know, for example, I do this show. I'm hoping that I will grow this show into something incredibly large, and I'll have a voice, a bigger voice in football media, right? Great. But you know what else comes with that? It's the comments, it's the this, it's the that, it's the little things people say. If you watch the live show and you look at the comments, there's always somebody that says something. If you watch the videos, there's always somebody that says something. Now, I'm not saying that it's at the same level. I'm not going to lie. I'm not Bernard Parker by any stretch of the imagination. But I have to come to grips with it. Not saying it's easy. But in order for me to do this, for example, I'll let you in on a bit of a secret. I have a comments rule. Because I've realized that good and bad comments have the same impact and can derail you either way. I have a comments rule. And I'm not going to tell you it, but I'm sure if you've seen my stuff, you will know. I have a comments rule purely because I know that I can't start diving very deeply into there. You should see some of the stuff that people say. But I have to also realize that one day, when all of this works out, when all of this, what I'm doing now in my living room right now, speaking into cameras and doing live shows and doing all of that stuff, once it works out, plenty of people are going to want your death. Plenty of people are going to want you to do badly. It's part and parcel of what we are asking for to be famous, what we're asking for to be big voices, what we're asking for all of those things. And I'd imagine that that's one part. The secondary part now, I told you from the outside looking in, from the inside trying to understand what Bernard Parker is saying. At the end of the day, we are human. At the end of the day, when you see that comment, trust and believe, I see some of them, when you see the comment, you do get that little tinge, that little hit. I can imagine with them, it's probably a lot deeper, about a lot more stuff than you could make about me, but to try and understand, I can imagine that sometimes you may read something really bad and it sticks with you for the week. Or somebody just happens to hit you at the right insecurity, the right insecurity at the right time, and now you're expected to go play tomorrow. And then you play badly, and then there's a whole cascade of things that are coming at you when you open up. I can only imagine what it looks like, what it feels like to trend. What it feels like to have 100,000 people just atting you and trying to get at you, some very pure, some very evil, some constructive. And you can understand why players' mental health goes a certain way with those things. So from that point of view, I get it. I also get that it's very hard. It's very hard not to want to reply to that comment. It's very hard to not want to go prove yourself. It's very hard to want to go speak out. To not speak out when you want to go speak out. So from that point of view, I get it. It takes a toll mentally. It takes a toll physically for them as they have to go play. The article goes on to show, to have Uposha Modise, somebody else who spoke on this, come out and say that a lot of people are struggling with substance abuse because they're trying to get away from a lot of these problems. A lot of players, allegedly, according to her, have so many issues with these type of things where they can't deal with what's meant to happen or what's happening to them in those moments when people are coming at them and the DMs and the comments and the what and it's going wrong and you're not playing well, and some turn to the bottle and some turn to different other things in order to cope. And this is where maybe teams, managers, managements of these players have to step in and say, guys, you can't handle it. Let's take it away from you. Go be a football player and just go be the football player. We'll take care of the publicity stuff. We'll give you scripts and you need to go speak. You need to go do that. But as we know in SA, when it comes to management, it's so bad and it's so poor. And I doubt that the managers, the agents are equipped to deal with these type of issues. I highly doubt that the teams are conscientized to these things. If you remember Coach Kenyeza coming out and saying, no, my team doesn't need a psychologist. Yes, moment of weakness on his part, but my team doesn't need a psychologist. I'm a former player, I've gone through this, I can tell them what they need. It's a very poor way to look at those very real things. So I think maybe they need to invest more in getting the players up to par with their social media, PR, marketing, and all of that stuff. I think the management needs to do a better job of looking after them. But the big point I want to leave with today is I want to urge us as supporters, as fans, as people that deal with these players, rather make it constructive. Rather make it constructive. If you're going to message a player, if you're going to DM a player, if you're going to comment on a player, rather make it constructive. I try by all means on this show not to come in and just say, screw whoever, fire the coach, what. I try very hard to go, these are my reasons, and this is how we rationally look at this thing. So that even the other person, yes, it might hurt to hear it, but even the other person, when they're looking at it, here's what we're suggesting. Here's why we are saying this. Here's what we're trying to do or trying to help you with or trying to urge you to do. I just spoke about Panyaza versus the fans. Yes, we went through everything we went through, but at the end, what was said? The PSL needs to start looking into 1, 2, and 3. The owners need to start looking into 1, 2, and 3 so that we can make it constructive. Let's also be as loud in our love as we are when the players are doing badly. I've sat here, for example, and spoken about Bafana, hey, Hugo Bruce, and we've criticized some of the things that he's done, and we've analyzed some of the things that he's done, and there was a negative leaning towards them, I would say. But then the moment that Bafana does well, we need to come out and be the ones that champion that same team. We need to come out and give them as good as what we gave them when they were doing badly or when we felt a certain way. That is what I urge. And I feel like that is what is missing. You guys don't understand. Sometimes as a person who's out there, again, not famous, but as a person who's out there, the good comments are also seen. The good comments are also, okay, no, you're doing a good job. You carry on wanting to do it. And I think that is what is missing in our social media discourse in general in South Africa, but very much in our sports. We're very quick to jump on a player when they do badly, but we're not as quick to say, hey, you had a very good game. Well done. Hey, we support you, we're behind you. Yes, we might be crying now and the results might look the way the results look, but we're going to come to you and we're going to look at you and show you the same love. And then it's up to the players to also regulate. Bad and good is the same thing. Too much love can go to your head. And now you don't know how to act. You're at every party. You're with everybody. Everybody's in your house. Everybody's hanging around you. You've got more friends. You've got all of these things. I'll start Jimmy the same way. In all the cases, they used to go AWOL. There's so much stuff that can happen with too much love, as well as too much hate. So I think as professional players, they also need somehow to figure out that, Mara guys, it's not for me. Or maybe I should limit this thing. Or maybe I shouldn't be on socials. Maybe I should just focus on ukudlala. Or maybe I should have a burner account where I can experience the social media side and look at the things that I'm looking without having to confront the people who are speaking to me. There are plenty of things that could be done, but the teams need to look into that. But that's all I wanted to say. Yes, we understand from the human side how it looks, but also they have to understand the other way around, the role that they play. I always say that what's lacking from our players is that they don't know that they are public figures. They don't understand what being a public figure at that status means. They don't understand the weight their words carry. They don't understand the weight their performances carry. Because at the same time, I may be questioning fans and saying, fans, don't do 1, 2, and 3. But I'm a lifelong Chiefs supporter. A loss hurts. A loss hurts. And it just so happens that there are 1 million of us who have been hurt on that day and we all tweet at the same time. Public figure. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will be live tonight at 7 because none of my teams are playing in the Euro. So at 7 o'clock tonight, we're going to join me, and I'm going to pick one of the topics and we'll have a broader conversation about it where I can actually hear from you guys. So later on tonight, 7 p.m., join me live here on YouTube, but also live on TikTok. And if you want to add your voice to the show, you join me on TikTok, jump in, and we can have a conversation, or you can tell me how you feel about whichever topic I'm going to bring up tonight that we're going to speak about. There's also a WhatsApp group. That's where I'm a little bit more unfiltered, but also we have a lot more a lot more deeper conversations within that WhatsApp group. If you want to be part of the WhatsApp group, there should be a join button somewhere on the screen since we're on YouTube. Click on it in the members area. You'll be able to get the link to come to the WhatsApp group, and you can have a conversation with me and some really other smart people that we speak every single day. We go back and forth, hundreds of messages back and forth, videos, voice notes, banter, analysis. It's a great place to be for football, and it's a wonderful, safe place for us to have those conversations. So join me on WhatsApp if this is not enough for you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you then later on tonight at 7. Bye, guys.